When are you at your best? Is it first thing in the morning? Or perhaps after you've had a cup of coffee? Maybe it's just before lunch, or later in the afternoon. Or perhaps you're that night owl who is at your absolute best late in the evening. Whatever your answer, this is all to do with energy cycles, the way our body goes through different stages of being at higher and lower levels of alertness, capability, and productivity. And that's what we'll talk about in this video. We all have different energy cycles. We all have our own cycle of when we're at our peak and when we're at those little troughs. What I'd like you to do is to think about your own energy cycle, because most of us instinctively know what it is. Chart your own energy cycle from the start of the day when you first wake up to the end of your day when you go to sleep. It doesn't have to be precise, but you will know when the peaks and troughs are. And then I want you to think about how to allocate tasks into your day. So here's an example of an energy cycle which is typical of many people. It has a peak early in the morning when we're fresh and energized. It has a trough shortly after lunch when we've eaten too much food and our body is starting to slow down. Then we have another peak, second wind, towards the end of the afternoon, and then it trails off into the evening. Think of the things that you have to do as different sizes of fruit. There are big, chunky, substantial pineapples. There is a good bite of an apple. And then there are those tiny little grapes or berries. When should you do these things? Well, I would argue that you should schedule the pineapples into the biggest peak of your day, the most substantial, most complex, most important tasks. Do them when you're at your freshest. And then those other substantial tasks, do them when you have another peak in your day. The little insubstantial tasks, the easy things to do, like checking your email, reviewing documents, the simple things that don't require a huge amount of attention and concentration, the grapes, do them in the troughs in your day when you are at your least alert. If, on the other hand, you come into work and you're heading towards a peak of energy, enthusiasm, capability, productivity, and all you do are simple tasks like checking through your emails, what a waste. Don't do it. But how can you boost your energy levels? How can you raise the peaks, lift the troughs, bring the whole curve higher up the chart? Well, there are a number of things you can do, and the first is to take breaks. We all start to slump if we work too long at something. Now, I'm not a big supporter of little alarms every 20 minutes, get up, stretch, because they can interrupt your mental flow. But as you start to feel a bit stale, get up, stretch, walk about, get some blood flow. Better yet, get out into the daylight and the fresh air. Both of those things, sunlight and fresh air, will have an energizing effect. If you build exercise into your daily routine, you will lift the whole chart. Your peaks will be higher, your troughs will be higher, you will be more energetic. So build exercise into your routine, whether it's walking to work, whether it's jogging or running at lunchtime, whether it's a trip to the gym, dancing, gardening at the weekend. Anything will lift your energy levels. Next is the effect of water. As our bodies become dehydrated, our brains start to shrivel, like a plum turning into a prune or a grape into a raisin. The problem is that as our brain dehydrates, it affects our concentration, but our concentration diminishes before we even start to feel thirsty. So my tip is keep water as close to you as you can. if you are able to, keep water on your desk so that unconsciously, when you become a little bit thirsty, you reach for that water. If you have to get up and go to a water fountain or a tap to get water, then your brain will wait longer before triggering that journey. Next is the effect of food. Some foods give you a short, sharp burst of energy, high sugar foods. Some fruits, some sweets. That's great if you need a short burst of energy. The trouble is that once you've had that peak of energy, there's a rapid dip. Other foods give you a longer, more sustained burst of energy that isn't so much of a burst as a lift in your energy levels that sustains over a period. These are slow-release carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates like brown bread and brown rice, proteins. Next, we need to think about caffeine. Yes, caffeine does boost your energy levels, but if you use too much of it, its effect is minor. The real effect of caffeine for people who drink too much tea, too much coffee, is the withdrawal effect, that when you don't get it, you start to feel the need for it and you start to feel sluggish. However, if you don't consume too much caffeine, then a drink of coffee or tea can energize you and lift you. What about naps? Very few workplaces encourage people to take a break, to have a nap, but if yours is one of them, then think about that, particularly if you've been working hard on something and you need to properly relax. But novelty is another way to boost your energy. So if you are getting stale, get up, have a stretch, move around, and then come back and do something different for a while. And finally, there's a wonder drug, and it's perfectly legal. It has 3 effects. It gives you a sense of well-being, it lifts your spirit, and it boosts your energy. It's called chocolate, because chocolate contains fats which give you a sense of well-being. It contains cocoa, which lifts your spirit and makes you feel good, and they contain sugar, which gives you a burst of energy. So used properly, carefully, small quantities, chocolate is a fantastic resource in managing your energy cycles. The last thing I want to mention in terms of energy cycles is meetings. Because there are 2 types of people. Some of us are introverts. We don't find it comfortable being with people. It saps our energy. It's not that we don't like people. It's not that we can't get on with them. It's just it takes all our energy to work well with people. And that's an introvert. The other sort of person is an extrovert. They're not necessarily any better with people. They may not be good with people. But what they do find is that being with people recharges their batteries. They get energy from the people around them. Now, thinking about your energy cycle, if you are an introvert, the worst time to go to a meeting is when you're at a trough, a slump in your energy, because you don't have a lot of energy to power you through that meeting. The meeting further drains you. You don't contribute well. You don't get a lot out of the meeting. It's a waste of your time. On the other hand, if you're an extrovert, meetings will charge you up. So going to a meeting when you're at a peak is a waste. Why not go to meetings when you're in a trough and get recharged by the people who are there? So understand your own personal energy cycles, and as much as possible, arrange your tasks and your responsibilities and your whole day around that understanding. Do the difficult, complex, important things when you're at your peak. Save the small, easy to do things for the troughs, and go to meetings according to whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. Please give us a thumbs up if you like this video. There's loads more great management courses content to come, so please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any of it. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and in the meantime, keep learning.